Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine from Behind the Markets. Happy Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, March 19th, and it is National Laugh Day. They always say laughter is the best medicine. Keep that in mind today as you laugh your way through the day. Today, I want to keep up with our discussions about Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. What he's been saying, he's been on a bit of a press tour, really trying to go out there and explain to Americans the dire financial situation that the U.S. finds itself in. And he says on Meet the Press, a bunch of folks wrote into me because we've been talking about this ever since we published Midnight in America, our book on this very topic, our booklet for members, for customers on this very topic. He said, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says White House is heading off a, quote, guaranteed financial crisis. Isn't that the truth? And I'm going to read an excerpt from the show, which a lot of folks sent me. Quote, what I could guarantee is we would have had a financial crisis. I've studied it, I've taught it, and if we had kept up at these spending levels, everything was unsustainable. We are resetting and we are putting things on a sustainable path. This is crack one that I talked about of the 5 cracks that the United States faces in Midnight in America. This is what we talked about in July. So where are we right now? When we put out Midnight in America, I decided not to publish it formally on Amazon or anything else because we wanted it just for our customers. This is just one of those things. And I wasn't really ready to put our whole playbook, the 4 steps to profit from any market crash. I wasn't really ready to put it out there for the mass public. I just thought it would be good for our paying customers, people who pay us a lot of money to get this information because it's millions of dollars worth of experience and I just wasn't ready to publish it. Maybe I'll publish it if and when I ever retire in 20 years. But anyway, the point of the matter is it's our treasure map, for lack of a better word to use. But since we put that out, Midnight in America, what's happened is most of the country was blinded by the euphoria of AI. And now that is receding. At least they're starting to see the other side of the argument. These 5 cracks that we talked about in Midnight in America, they're starting to see exactly what that is. And they're starting to really raise the risk of that, which is why the market has come down. It's a very large reason, including tariffs. Tariffs looked at really talks about crack number 5, which is China. And you could look at Trump's tariffs basically like a great reversal, this great reversal from letting China into the World Trade Organization in 2000 and China basically sucking out 15 million manufacturing jobs from the United States, Britain, France, Germany, etc. And then people are hollowing out the middle class of these Western countries, which has been given rise to this anger and populist movement. That's crack number 5. We discuss that, the threat from there, and also the military dimensions of China, which is what Trump is preparing for. We've been talking about that a lot too over the past few years. But the market has sold off. Finally, oh my God, there are risks here. So they've sold off. And right now we seem to have hit a correction bottom. We'll see, it's a leg. It's a leg right here. It seems to have some support here. And what happens psychologically is market participants now are in a wait and see mood. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's see if the risks subside in the short term, market would go up. If the risks increase, market will continue to go down. So these are all tied, whether it's tariffs, whether it's debt, they're all tied to the 5 cracks that we talked about in Midnight in America. Vis-a-vis China, it's like we've created a Frankenstein monster, and these idiots that ran our government thought that, oh, we'll make China rich. And you know what? They're going to become democratic. You know what? These kids never grew up in a neighborhood like I did in Queens, where a power competition happened in the schoolyard. And you didn't just hope somebody turned nice. It's just not the way the world works. Where these kids were grown up, they lived in Ivy League towers, and they just must have been reading theories on this nonsense. They don't understand how real global power works. They never read history, which has just been shocking to me. But anyway, we are at a new level here where the markets are understanding that we have risk and there's reward. So now that we have a split screen, participants understand there's reward, deregulation, this, that, and the other thing, and there's risk. Now, what Trump and Bessent are trying to do, to pivot back to that, is they were faced with a couple of choices. Number one, you got to cut spending because we just can't keep spending this amount of money, or there will be, as our own Treasury Secretary, our bond salesman in chief says, a financial crisis, guaranteed financial crisis. So you can't keep doing that. So what they're trying to do is, there were a few ways: cut entitlements, cut this, cut that. What they're trying to do really is making sure that they cut 25% of the government. One of the ways to really close a large portion of the gap is to cut 25% of the employees of the federal government, which who doesn't want to do that, and actually push them from the public sector to the private sector. And a lot of economists have argued for a while that, these employees, that the government has sucked in all these employees, which makes the labor market a lot tighter, which is why folks like us can't hire independent business owners, have had such trouble hiring workers. So anyway, we're going to move this 25% of the workforce off the public books, push them into the labor market, which will also help with inflation. A lot of dynamics going on here. A lot of them are interrelated. This is like an ant farm. It's an ecosystem, and they're all connected in ways that are very interesting for a student of history and human nature and psychology, as we must be if we're going to be participants, at least smart participants in the financial markets. Anyway, tomorrow I have an interesting topic to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this strain of thinking that we are and how we got here. And that's all I have for today. Happy National Laugh Day. I hope you have a great day.